Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Elite Weather Forecasting. I am Mr. G, your meteorologist tonight. I am a student at Mississippi State University, and I'm going to be bringing you guys the weather forecast tonight for your Monday night through your day on Tuesday. And we're going to look later into the week and talk about some of the significant weather events that's taking place this week that's going to impact the weather across the country. And we're going to start off the weather forecast with a look at the tropics as we talk about the western Gulf of Mexico between October 9th and 11th. We can see that potential development here across this region where we can have an area of low pressure formed right here off the coast of Texas that could bring some thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast all the way over to the state of Florida and parts of the southeastern U.S. And here's a look at that tropical development that we can see. We see tropical moisture coming across from the Pacific, and we have tropical moisture coming from the southern Gulf of Mexico as well. And that area of low pressure is going to develop later this week through Wednesday and Thursday before shuffling off toward the east, and that's going to spread rainfall from Texas all the way to South Carolina as we head between Wednesday and Friday. So we're going to have a wet period as we move through the week along the Gulf Coast and the southeastern United States. So if you're on I-10 or I-95, you're going to be dealing with that heavy rainfall from some of those thunderstorms, those tropical thunderstorms. Now we do see a lot of development. We can see a few storms in October as we winding down the hurricane season, but we start to look more towards off the southeastern coast of the U.S. and here over the western Caribbean and the southeastern Gulf of Mexico, where we can see our potential for development. So this is our formation zones right here, but we still see some storms out over these regions across the Caribbean and near Bermuda as well. We could see a little bit lesser chance for development, but that is pretty much the ball game as we head through the month of October. Here is our water temperatures right now, still in that low to mid 80s, 82 to 86 degrees. So still a lot of fuel out there for tropical development. And here is our current conditions across the country as we look at the radar across across the United States. Now we have, excuse me, I'm just coughing up a storm. So we have the remnants of Tropical Storm Felipe that's moving across parts of Canada, and that's headed off slowly toward the northwest, but it's still going to spread a lot of rain showers along the St. Lawrence River Valley and through parts of the eastern Gulf, the eastern Great Lakes, so we can see some rain showers tonight and through tomorrow before that influence begin to move away from the United States and focus mostly on eastern Canada with those rain and some winds left over from that tropical storm. And we're going to see a few showers down here over the Gulf of Mexico and over the Florida, and we can see some rain showers and some thunderstorms here over Shenandoah and the central areas of the Appalachian Mountain Range. And then we have a pretty strong storm system moving into the Pacific Northwest. Portland and Seattle is going to see some rain showers tonight and into tomorrow as well. So here is a look at some tropical activity right now, and we have our tropical storm Lydia, our hurricane Lydia actually, where we are seeing peak wind gusts up to 108 miles an hour where our hurricane is, and that's going to be spreading some 100-mile-per-hour plus winds right in this dark blue region here. And then we have our tropical storm force winds along the outer light blue areas. Okay, and here we are with our heavy rain forecast. where we can see up to 8 inches plus here in the dark green. So we are going to be seeing some heavy rain and gusty, very strong winds near Mazatlan and Puerto Vallarta. So if you're going to be doing any vacationing, you might want to check the weather forecast, because we will be dealing with Lydia and Max, as we have two tropical storms affecting western Mexico this week. And here is Lydia, and there is Max there, that's bringing heavy rain and gusty winds. We have a hurricane and our tropical storm there. And here we are as we look at Tropical Storm Max, and we're going to be looking at Max's eye path as it comes on shore there, and that's going to be bringing some heavy rain with this hurricane right here, Hurricane Max. And Max is going to be having 4 to 8 inches of rain there across parts of western Mexico. So Acapulco, look, all the vacation spots are being affected by these two tropical storm systems. Here is our Acapulco is just to the south of our storm, so we will see a lot of rain, but you're going to get a lot less wind. But if you're in this region here, you can see those 60 to 80 mile per hour winds with our tropical storm slash hurricane. It's right there on the cusp of being a hurricane. Now here is what we're seeing in the Pacific Northwest. We're going to bring this weather forecast stateside now, and we're going to talk about what we are seeing across the western United States. A big dip in the jet stream across the Pacific Northwest, and that's going to be bringing cooler and wet weather conditions into the Pacific Northwest, from extreme northwestern California up to British Columbia, where we're going to see heavy rain and some mountain snow as well. So we're going to be seeing that cool, wet conditions. But meanwhile, to the east, we're going to see conditions warm up here as we have warm air advection out ahead of our advancing cold front that's going to be moving from west to east out of the Cascade Mountain Range and into the semi-desert areas of eastern Oregon and eastern Washington into Idaho and Montana and Wyoming, parts of Utah. We're going to see a frontal boundary, but meanwhile, out ahead of that frontal boundary, we're going to see warmer and warming weather conditions for a day or two prior to the arrival of that frontal boundary. So here we are as we talk about that rain. We're going to see that cold front movement on shore. We saw this tonight. This cold front is going to be bringing that heavy rain across the Pacific Northwest and that pleasant weather conditions across the interior portions of Montana, Idaho, Utah, and Wyoming. So beautiful weather for those places right now. Here we are as we're going to look at our stormy midweek period here. By the time we get to Wednesday and Thursday, that area flow pressure will be moving toward the south and southeast, but it's going to spread. Excuse me, good grief. It's going to spread rain and snow in the higher elevations of the Rockies, but we're going to see rain down in the low-lying valleys, but we're going to see that rain extended into parts of the high plains, the Rockies, and over to the Pacific Northwest through the Cascades and parts of the Sierra Nevada. So a very wet week ahead for the western United States, especially for the northwestern sections of the Intermountain West and the Pacific Northwest. Having a hard time talking today. All right. And so here we are as we take a look. This map is not really relevant, so we're going to skip that here. And here is this is actually the leftovers of Tropical Storm Felipe. What am I talking about? That's the remnants of Felipe. All right, so here we are. Here is the winds pattern that we're seeing with Tropical Storm Felipe, with some of the rain that we're going to be seeing, the potential for flash flooding here just on the northern tip of Maine through Nova Scotia and New Brunswick right here. So we're going to be seeing that heavy rain through northeastern Canada. And we're going to see here's our path that our remnant of Tropical Storm Felipe is going to be taking as it actually moves northwest instead of northeast out to sea. This one's going to be moving further inland and over the continental areas of Canada. Eventually, it's going to turn north and head northeast, but in the meantime, it's going to move further inland. So here we are as we talk about some of the wind gusts from the remnants of Felipe, where we can see the potential for isolated wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour. So we're going to see very breezy conditions up near Newfoundland, out here in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. So a lot of windy conditions there associated with the remnants of Tropical Storm Felipe. Here is the rainfall forecast, where we can see up to 4 to 8 inches of rain here across the interior of the St. Lawrence River Valley down into parts of Vermont, upstate New York, and New Hampshire. So still a lot of rain to be taking place across parts of the Northeast. Here is our current. I don't know why we have that twice. But anyway, here is your forecast across the country for Tuesday morning. We have that storm system across the Pacific Northwest. This frontal boundary here will be bringing some rain showers into Portland and Seattle and the northwestern sections of the United States. And then the remnants of Tropical Storm Felipe will continue to bring some rain through parts of northern Wisconsin, the upper peninsula of Michigan, the boot of Michigan, and through parts of Ottawa and where we have Montreal and into Mr. G can't think. What is this, Lord? We got Ottawa, we have Montreal, and we have Quebec City, as well as Toronto. I couldn't think. I'm like, I see I've been working all day and I'm tired. So anyway, so up there in Canada, we're going to see a lot of rainfall tomorrow and maybe some showers and thunderstorms down here across the Gulf Coast of Texas and near Mexico. The Rio Grande Valley is where we're going to see that potential there for those showers and thunderstorms, okay? That's your forecast tomorrow morning. And in the afternoon, much of the same. And the midday, not much is going to change. Continue beautiful across the Midwest and the middle of the country, but it's that Northeast and the West Coast, the Northwest, where we can see that wet weather. And in the evening tomorrow, much of the same, maybe an expansion a bit of that tropical moisture down in the Rio Grande Valley, where we can see some thunderstorms. This is where we could actually see maybe some severe weather. But other than that, no severe weather expected across the country, and not really much this week. So we are looking at El Nino this winter, and this map shows our departure from average in the temperatures. So with the north here, this is what I care about because I live in Minnesota, near Minneapolis, in St. Paul. Warmer than average. Yay! That's what I expect with this season's strong or super El Nino that we could have this winter. We're going to see warmer than average. The north central plains in the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Pacific Northwest and the northern Rockies will be warmer than average, but cooler than average across the Southwest and the South Central U.S. and the lower Mississippi River Valley, the Ozarks, and along the Gulf Coast will be cooler than average. Florida could be warmer than average as well. But here we are to talk about what we expect as far as the weather. There are typical impacts up here once again in the the northern parts of the country, the upper Midwest, the northern plains, the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, parts of the Missouri Valley could be warmer with less snow. But I will have to emphasize that this area right here, where you see it wet until that dry, we can see a lot of freezing rain right in this region here along the Appalachian Mountain Range. A lot of freezing rain can happen in that zone. So be watchful for that if you live in North Carolina, Maryland, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, parts of Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi. If you live along the 85, 75, 65 corridor, those areas will tend to see a lot of freezing rain and icing situations during El Nino, especially strong El Ninos, Now we can see those Pineapple Express late storms with the heavy subtropical moisture coming up of the Central Pacific into the West Coast. So Southern California, there's the Southwest, Arizona could see an enhancement of rainfall totals this winter as well, as we can see some of those really big Pacific storms slam into the West Coast and cause an excessive amounts flash flooding, mudslides, and rock slides. You know that's really bad in LA and California during the winter. El Nino, we're going to see that potential again. So big impacts coming this winter for the Southwest and the Southeast, and even with the upper Midwest, because you could be warmer than average and drier than average. So definitely big change in the weather compared to what we're used to seeing in the winter season. So here we are as we talk about our snow departures. See, here's where we can see across the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes, where we can see where it could be as much as 75% below average. We can also see that 80% potential below average across the Northwest as well. But down here across the South, we can see it be over 100% above. You can get up to 140% over your typical. So you can hit that 100, but you can go over to 140%. So you're going to be above average for snow across the Southern Rockies, the Central Plains, Central and Southern Plains. So Texas, Oklahoma can see a lot of snow. Arkansas, Mississippi, northern Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, North Carolina, South Carolina. This is the interior where I think we're going to see not necessarily a whole lot of snow, but it's going to come in the form of freezing rain a lot. Freezing rain and icing situations and some snow. So we're going to see a lot of chaos in these areas where the blue is this winter. So not a good forecast for those areas that dealt with the excessive amount of heat. Here's the ski forecast. The ski forecast looks excellent across the Rockies. Not so much across the northern Rockies. Not so much across the upper Midwest there, Minnesota and Wisconsin. I know I have a friend who their kids do cross-country skiing. They're not going to have a lot of snow, so it's going to be an interesting time for them. And we're going to see a little bit lower snow across parts of the Northeast as well. So that is a look at your weather forecast and a peek into your winter and its El Nino impacts. So my name is Mr. G. I'll be back tomorrow night with another weather forecast. I hope you guys have a good night and a good day tomorrow. Bye-bye.